Here we go.
Hi, all. Welcome to the 22nd Annual Family Cafe. I'm Shantae, the founder of Parenting Special Needs Magazine, and I'm also a special needs mom. And I'm sharing with you today 7 lessons I learned the hard way, and I think they're keys to helping to unlock your child's full potential. So that is what my presentation is about. And I also wanted to say that I miss you all. I wish that we were able to be live because I really love the Family Cafe and enjoy the energy from seeing all of you. So I know that this year is different and we have to be virtual. And I'm thankful that the Family Cafe is still putting this on so that we can still share important information. So, with no further to do, I'm going to share my computer screen and we'll get on with the presentation. So, as I mentioned, it's life lessons, 7 keys to unlock your child's full. As I mentioned, there are 7 keys. I like to use different graphic images. So, throughout this presentation, the answers to these keys will be filled in, but the little icons will help you remember what they are. As I mentioned, I'm a special needs mom. I have been married to my husband, Tom. I think it's 31 years. He keeps the numbers in his head. I do not, which that's a feat in itself. And we have a little joke that we say about that. That's basically being married that long really just feels like it's only been 7 minutes. And of course, I then say 7 minutes underwater, gasping for breath, or depending on my mood, it could be 7 minutes on fire because we all know that relationships are not easy and they take work. So, and add a special needs child to the mix and family responsibilities and work, and you know what I mean. So, we also have an older daughter. My oldest daughter, Brittany, lives and works in Texas right now. So, we're super proud of her. And our youngest daughter, Kaylee, is 23 and she's living at home. And prior to COVID, she was working and taking a college course. So we're very excited about all of that. But I wanted to let you guys know I am a special needs mom, and I have definitely ridden uh, and am still riding the roller coaster that special needs parents have to ride. And like many of you, I wanted help and I wanted information. And it was like, if I didn't know the right questions to ask, how could I get information? And it seemed to me, where were where was this information? I know there's lots of information out there, but if you, like I said, don't have the right know the right questions to ask, you're not going to ask for it, and therefore you might not receive it. Um, and I also had moved from Fort Lauderdale to Vero Beach, and Fort Lauderdale was more metropolitan and had more things available than Vero. And I kind of thought everything was a level playing field. So I was confused when all of a sudden there wasn't the same services available. But yet I still wanted to help my child, but it was like, where is this information? So, long story, I'm not going to go into all of it, but basically, the quick version is my sister had sent me Parents Magazine thinking that it would be helpful to me. And at this point, Kaylee was just about going into second grade. So she's 8, 10, I can't remember exactly. But um, I loved the magazine, but it was not helpful to me with Kaylee. So I was like, where is the help? So I created Parenting Special Needs magazine to help all of us. And I also put it online because I know that as a special needs mom, you do not always have time to read a magazine or have time. But I knew if it was online and you could access it and it was provided in reader friendly way and you could understand it, you'd be more prone to take advantage of it. And also, I wanted to be inspired and encouraged and empowered by other moms that had been there, that knew what I needed to watch out for, or dads. So, anyways, that's the magazine. We've been around for, I guess it's going on 12 years. So, enough about that, but let's move on to actually raising our children. And like I said, in this presentation, you will hopefully get some real life lessons that will clarify the steps that I took. And, understanding at the same time, like if you don't grasp some of these keys, what could be at stake. And hopefully I'm also going to provide practical tips that you can easily insert into your life, and maybe even a few downloads, so you can access information. And as I mentioned, Kaylee and I, or not Kaylee and I, the whole family has definitely ridden the roller coaster. And it is a roller coaster. And if any of this information can help any of you in the slightest way ease your ride, and make your ride a little bit more enjoyable, then I hope that that's what we do. So the first lesson, life lesson, is acceptance and birthday parties. And I don't know about you, or if any, I'm sure many of you can relate. Every year when Kaylee was growing up, I struggled with what should I do for her birthday party. It was always a hassle because she didn't really have friends that were her own when she was younger. And what was I going to do? So, and on this particular birthday, I thought to myself, should I invite my friends and their kids who are not really Kaylee's friends, and probably won't let Kaylee have that great of a time because, they're not necessarily, although they like her, they're not necessarily as understanding as they might need to be. Or, what should I do? And actually at this particular birthday, I was struggling too because I was really busy at work. I had taken on a new job and trying to get things worked out, and I really didn't have a lot of time. And I thought, what can I do? How should we celebrate this birthday? And as I thought about it, I thought, what would Kaylee like? And as I thought about it, I thought, boy, Kaylee has autism, but she's very social. She likes people. So I thought, what would she like? Oh, she would love a birthday party with her friends. And then I'm like, well, who are her friends? And her friends were really her classmates in school. And then I thought, okay, well, you could have a party and invite all of her friends. But really, we had been to those kind of birthday parties before, and only like one child shows up. Sometimes we were the only child besides the other child at the birthday party that actually showed up. So I thought, no, I don't want to do that. And then I got the idea, hey, what if I called the teacher and said, could we have a birthday party in her classroom? Maybe I would order and pick up McDonald's for all of them and have a little cake and a celebration and make it like a real party where they actually play a game. And the special ed teacher said, well, let's talk to the principal and see if it's okay. And we got it approved. And I thought, okay, we can make this like a little bit more of like a lesson where they can all learn some skills, So I actually created invitations and we handed out invitations. And then the teacher and I worked it out together where we called and they got to place their order from McDonald's. And then we picked it up and we had a birthday party in her class during the lunch hour. And I have to tell you all, I don't know if I provided some of the pictures. And I forgot, we made it like a real birthday party, like I bought the little dollar tablecloth, and then we made that prince and princess hats and balloons, and we did play a game. But during this birthday party, it was awesome. And me standing in the background watching, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is so nice. This is awesome. Kaylee's having such a good time. It was kind of like I was standing back and thinking to myself, and I thought, gosh, everybody here loves Kaylee for Kaylee. Wow. Um, and I thought to myself, I don't have to be on guard. I don't have to tell her, Kaylee, we don't do that, or Kaylee, we don't do this. Everybody loved her for her. And I thought, wow. So it really was a wake up call to me that perhaps I wasn't as accepting of Kaylee as I needed to be. Perhaps I needed to be more accepting of my daughter and know that while, yes, she has differences, she is still very wonderful and has a lot of great qualities. And I need to appreciate that and accept her for who she is. And that was a game changer for me, was accepting, that she's different, but that's okay. Um, and love her for who she is. So I always say that that was the birthday that gave me the gift of acceptance. And what I also learned from this, and I'm probably going to just read these off to you guys, is that, you do need to accept your child and stop trying to fix them. And you also have to be proactive and recognize that we're responsible to help make their life better. We need to understand, you know, what some of their situations or what their learning disabilities may be, but then we help them grow from that. And sometimes, many times, we have to think outside of the box in order to make that happen. Um, and that you're going to have to rely on yourself and your family and maybe create a team, because you're going to have to know what works best for your child. And then this is another big lesson that I learned later on, but acceptance is a process. Uh, you know, that we experience. It's not a final stage with an endpoint. It keeps going. Like, there's other things that I have to accept as time goes on, but it is a process. But because I learned that lesson, it really did open my mind, because I guess prior to that, I was more closed mind, thinking if I sent her to therapies or I went to therapy with her and did all these things, that really I was going to fix her and she was going to be fine. But it was that birthday party that kind of made me change my mind and say, hey, maybe you need to reevaluate how you're thinking about things. And that opened up my mind to allowing her to go to Special Olympics and things like that. Because prior to that, I had put her in um, ballet classes and drama classes and things like that, but they weren't suited for her. The teachers didn't know how to necessarily work with her. Now we're going back years, so maybe everybody's a little bit more aware and involved nowadays about being inclusive. But back when Kaylee was growing up, it wasn't necessarily the case. And it's not that they didn't want to include her, they tried, but they weren't trained in knowing how to help her be involved. So that really opened my eyes that I needed to be more open-minded and help her be put in situations where she could learn more and be around her peers. So that was, we went to Special Olympics. She started uh, playing in different things. She was in top soccer. She got to be on cheerleading. Uh, she got to be on the unified track and unified teams with Special Olympics. She got to be best buddies in school. And all of that helped her to have her own friends and learn how to be a friend. And that was because I didn't hold her back and keep her in a corner. I opened up and let her explore the world a bit. So some of the things that helped me were, having an open mind. And, sometimes you have to choose to be courageous over or having courage over your comfort zone. And that comes from Brene Brown. But because I was able to open up, it did create more opportunities for Kaylee. And I had to start learning how to explain to others without shame about Kaylee and her abilities, and maybe her different abilities, but things that she was good at, so that people could see that, hey, she did have strengths as well as some things that she couldn't do. She did have an awful lot of strengths. um, and I also opened up to my neighbor who had two typical boys. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, he just did a virtual graduation this year. But I asked her about encouraging a friendship so that she could learn to play, because when the kids are younger and they don't get the opportunity to play, they can't learn. So they need that experience in order to navigate social situations. Most of Kaylee's young life was spent in therapy. So she didn't have an opportunity to play. Her friends were therapists. Sometimes they still are, but she does have a few of her own now as well. So the third life lesson was, I can't find anything. Raising a child with special needs, it's like, it is another full-time job, it seems. And, there's so much paperwork that you need to be able to get control of. So I have a little story that I tell, because one time I got really frustrated and I couldn't find something. And, I had learned this great lesson from a nurse. Kaylee had to have kidney surgery when she was a year old. And as we were leaving the hospital, one of the nurses said to me, my daughter has different abilities, and I keep a medical journal for her. And it might be beneficial for you to start doing that, get a binder and put the stuff in there. So, I heeded what she said. And as time went on, I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. So I kind of did. I bought a binder. I put the stuff in there, but it was a zipper kind. But when I went to the doctors, I could never find anything. It didn't make sense. And it just frustrated me. And then one time I sat down. Then one time I was so frustrated because the doctor wanted something and I knew I had it and I could not find it, couldn't put my hands on it. So I decided right then and there, I'm going to take some time and organize this stuff. And so I did. I created something that works for me, different doctors that she goes to. I color coded the binders because I like colors and graphs and things like that, and that I could flip to them so that I could find things right away so that it made sense. So I had two. I had a medical binder because she did have a lot of different doctor things that she had to go to. And then I also had an IEP binder. And here's the key point that I want to tell you is that I'm going to go back to this with Dr. B, because as I mentioned before, we had really ridden the roller coaster. Kaylee had, because she was so social back then, she didn't really look like she fit into autism. So every time we kind of went to try to get that diagnosis, it was kind of, no, she's so social. She looks at you and this and that. We couldn't get a straight answer. So at one point they were saying you need genetic testing. So we got genetic testing, and they said at that time that the way that they detected genetic abnormalities or deficiencies was not fine enough. That it didn't show up that she had anything. So in 6 years, come back. So right, we waited our time, and we went back, and a long time. We had to wait for 6 years is a long time to wait for another diagnosis. And in the meantime, I kept fighting for stuff because I'm like, I need something. You can't get help unless you know what you're dealing with. So they had told us we had to wait. So we waited, and then finally it was rescheduled. Like I'm telling you, 6 years later, we got all the blood work done. We did everything. Now at this time we lived 2 hours away from from Fort Lauderdale or Miami. So we got the appointment. My husband took off work. I took off work because we were going to go and meet with a whole team to discuss what was going on with Kaylee and what we might be dealing with or what she might still need as far as help, etc. So we took the time off. We go down there and we're seeing all the individual doctors and all the specialists and all that kind of stuff. And then we got to the one that we were waiting for, which happened to be Dr. B. I'm not going to say his name, but he was a geneticist, if many of you know who I'm talking about. But he was like, I'm not going to see her. She's not my patient. And I was like, oh, we've waited this whole time to get down here to see him, and he's not going to see her because he thinks she's not his patient. So thank God I had brought my trusty, dusty organizer and medical binder, and I flipped right through it, and I got his where he had written what he had said, blah, blah, blah. And I went in and I said, you were her doctor, and this is what you said. And I handed him copies of what I had been given. He almost fell off of his chair because he was dumbfounded. I mean, he's kind of very pompous. And anyway, it's not nice to say, but he was. And anyways, he did end up seeing us, thank God. So the trip was not wasted. He did recommend additional testing and also put her into a special group so that she would have some more testing done, that they could look at her as an unusual, because her symptoms were not typical. So they wanted to examine her and figure out, if some of these differences really did fit in with other things. And so she was put in for that. But I cannot tell you how that binder and being organized saved the day. And technically, when you can put your hands on things, it really does make a difference. So, it's not easy. It's something that we have to continually keep doing. But the sooner that you can get a system that works for you and where you can find things, it will be so much better for you, because this is an ongoing process of things that you're going to have to, or a system that you're going to have to navigate to find information. So the sooner you can put something together, the better for you. And I like a couple of these sayings. The number one time waster for most people is looking for things that are lost. And then being organized and having this stuff does give you a sense of power. It makes you feel like, hey, I can at least find it and give it to you. So please take the time to figure out some organization systems that are going to work for you. So life lesson number 4. Okay, life lesson number 4 was really, how is my child really doing in school? I always felt that I never had a true, accurate measure of how Kaylee was doing in school. And I think it put us at a disadvantage until one summer school year, we had her summer school teacher did a progress report that really, to me, felt like a reality check. It was like, it was so clear, it wasn't like the IEP where they're all over the place. And now that they're all over the place, they just never seem like it always felt to me like we weren't really getting anywhere. But this was so clear. It was little check marks like, can she do this? Can she do that? Can she do this? And it was like, yeah, if I could see that she can't do those things and we know where to fill in the gaps, it was awesome. So I cannot tell you how thankful I am for this teacher that did this. And I ended up recreating it for you all so that we could share it with you all. So I think it's a progression form, and we have a couple different versions on the site to help you all, because it really helped me to figure out, where is my daughter? And where does she need to go? And what does she need to do in order to grow? So, and then since that time, what I've learned is, the IEP, for all of us, so that you do know this and it doesn't take you years of wasted time in your child's time that you can't always get back to learn is that the IEP is a legal document. So if we think of it like that, if we think of it kind of like you're partnering with a school to educate your child rather than it's them against us or us against them, let's work together to make our children be the best they can be. And in order to do that, we need to have their starting point because we can't get to the finish line until we know where they're at in order to progress them along the path. And at the same time, I want you guys to kind of understand that too, that a starting point is their baseline of where they're at, and that each IEP is only written for 1 year. It might go into the next school year, but it's only written for 1 year. And you need to make sure that you know that you're working towards goals that your child can complete in that year, which is something I didn't always keep at the top of my mind. I was thinking, I want her to be here. And so I think sometimes if we back it up a little bit and think it's only for a year, what can we accomplish in a year that will help our child get to where we want them to the finish line, which is the next grade level. And what I always also wanted to kind of point out to you all is that, while the IEP is a legal document, it creates the track. So if you think of it, the plan creates the track. So it's kind of like, it's helping you along the course, to get to all the different grades. And you're going to have the teachers and the school and the team support you to go through each track, each year. So if you think of it like that, the plan creates the track, and then there are mile markers. Each quarter, you review as to what's going on with your child, and are they making the steps to get to that finish line. And the bottom line is that you have to have actions. The goals have to be set, but the only action towards those goals are going to move you forward. So the IEP is the legal document. The plan creates the track, which you have the team to help you with and use them, because it's a legal document, so you can legally make sure that they are helping you move towards the goals to help your child reach the end of the school year. And it's not enough to just plan, the plan plus the action have got to go together. And a big key or a big alert symbol I have down there, anytime you think that a goal, you're not going to reach it, don't adjust the goal, change the action steps. Think about what we do for ourselves. If we're not going to meet our goal of having, I can't think of something right now, but like dinner planned at a certain time, we change it so we can, okay, well, we'll only have this and this. We still want our child to get there. So what do we need to do to change the steps in order to help them achieve the goals? Because bottom line is it helps them reach their full potential. So life lesson in the challenge number 5 was explaining my child quickly. And this happened when one summer, back to summer school again, we were going to orientation at summer school, and my daughter was, I don't remember what grade, but bottom line is we were going to orientation, and the mothers were standing in line, single file behind each other, waiting to kind of explain their child to the summer school teacher. And as I sat and listened, or kind of, wasn't right on top of anybody, but backed up a little bit so we could let the other parents explain their child, I thought, geez, I wonder if there's a better way to do this. Anyway, so after I got to explain my daughter and all the things I wanted her to accomplish, I left the meeting walking away thinking, how much is this poor teacher going to retain from what I've just delivered to her. Um, she just talked to about 10 mothers before me. How is she going to remember everything on each child? She had already told us she didn't have time to read the IEP. So that made me think. And as I was walking away, I was thinking, gosh, wouldn't it be great if there was an easier way to explain my child? Kind of like you know, a quick reference cheat sheet, I call it, that explains to explains my daughter and tells them things they need to know, like quickly, so they can refer back to it, or if a substitute came. And then as I was thinking about this, it started making me think about all the times it would have been helpful to um, for the chorus teacher to know, because she kind of forgot that my daughter rocks, and she rocked right off the stage of the Christmas pageant and fell into the Christmas tree and on stage and got a black eye. Boy, that would have been helpful if that teacher would have remembered that and maybe made sure they put her, on the floor. And then I thought, oh, it would have been helpful for the art teacher that called and said that Kaylee was misbehaving and she was acting up. And when I finally got to the bottom of it, it was really Kaylee wanted to show this teacher with her skills that she could help. And she was trying to collect the papers and help pass out stuff because the teacher wasn't assigning things to her. And she was trying to do it to show that she could help, but she didn't have the verbal communication skills to say it. So, it would have been helpful for the teacher to know, and not just their main teachers, the special ed teachers as well. So I decided, okay, you know what, this next school year, I'm going to create a getting to know my child form that's a cheat sheet, and I Xeroxed the picture, or I made a picture of Kaylee. I filled in the information, I Xeroxed it, and folded it up, and I handed it out to every one of her teachers, the principal, everybody that could come in contact with Kaylee, because I thought it doesn't hurt for them to know about my child, because they might be able to, help. And it was very helpful in different things. I mean, sometimes, things were avoided because they kind of understood that tones and attitudes, or she could read things and it set her off, or sometimes she couldn't always pronounce names correctly. So it really was very beneficial. And I did get a report back when a couple days later, when I was picking up my daughter, the principal said, oh, I love that. I wish I had that on every child. So that is another form that we've created and is online for you all to access and use for your children. And I recommend it when they're going to summer camp, meeting new people. And sometimes, I don't think it even hurts for relatives to know, because relatives are not in our shoes. They're not in our house every day. They don't necessarily know things that we know. And it can't hurt to have them understand our child a little bit better. So I hope that helps you as well. And some of the things that I did learn was, my big statement up there, seek first to understand, then to be understood. I mean, I think this is so important, is that behavior is a form of communication. And sometimes we need to look at what's going on with our children, become better listeners, and see, because I see it in my own household sometimes with Kaylee, like what she's saying and what people are receiving are not the same thing. So sometimes I have to interpret from her behavior what she's actually trying to tell them, because she cannot always get the words out. But I think opening up the lines of communication is very important. And something else I want to point out here with regards to communication is, everybody communicates differently, and everybody likes to receive information differently. So as you're communicating with teachers and therapists and things like that, kind of ask what is the best way to keep the lines of communication open between them, because you might be really good at typing an email, they might prefer getting texts, or you might prefer talking on the phone, and they may prefer emails. So you have to understand kind of which works best for them. And because I've heard over the years different things where someone will say, oh, I email them all the time and nobody responds to me. But I know for a fact I had a teacher like that, very responsive, very open minded to helping, but that wasn't his form of communication. He would rather see you front of, talk, whatever. So, just kind of make sure you know the best way that they like to communicate. And I think that's kind of a form of respect. Just ask, is there a way that you prefer receiving information? Just like it would be helpful for us, right? Just like it's helpful for our children. So keep the lines of communication open and share information about your child. So, life lesson number 6, the challenge as services were being discontinued. Oh, this one is terrible. The For me, this is a heartbreak. So, all of a sudden, life lesson number 6 is, you know, make sure you have or you recruit a winning support team. Um, as I mentioned, services for my daughter, services were being discontinued, and at the time I was like, the therapist called me into the office and said, we're going to have to discontinue Kaylee's services because blah, blah, blah. I don't even remember what she said. She's like, um, she's not progressing. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, so we're going to have to discontinue. And I'm like, wait, but we haven't mastered the skill. She's not tying her shoes. She's not buttoning her pants. Having trouble in the bathroom locks. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're discontinuing services. How can that be? And anyways, that just left me so baffled. But she kept telling me, and I kept thinking she kept saying this over and over in different ways. And I kept thinking, okay, I'm supposed to get something out of this, but I didn't quite. She kept saying to me, but if you can figure out some life skills she needs, I will be happy to help you. And I'm thinking, wait, aren't all those things life skills? Like buttoning your pants, going to the bathroom? That's not, I was like, where's this list of life skills I need? Which I do know that they now have them out there. So we have a list of life skills you guys can grab. But um, it just boggled my mind. And what that made me realize is, you know, you might need to interview therapists, just like you were hiring people. I know that's not always easy because you can't always get people. I know various times I was always thrilled to death to have therapists that were open and able to work with my child. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that they're always the best for your child. And when we're relying on them to help our children, we have to kind of be the sounding board, and to and just look past that. So we might need to interview therapists, which again, not something we have on the site for you as well. Is like, how to interview a therapist and ask questions that may be helpful. The other part that I want you guys to all learn is like, I ended up switching. I happened to make a phone call or something, and someone else advised me, oh, yeah, that's not normally a therapy we recommend. And I'm like, why didn't someone tell me that before? So you do have to do a little bit of your homework and ask around and figure out, but you also need to recruit a support team, a winning team for your child. And I put this picture on this slide of um, Kris Kardashian, because many people like her, they don't like her. That's not my point. The point is, nobody can pretty much deny that she is a great momager. She has made her kids very rich and famous. Um, and I think we need to think of ourselves like that. She recruits a winning team to help her kids. We need to do that for our kids. And I don't think that you necessarily have to have money like she does. I'm not saying that, but we have the capability of saying, you know, hey, grandma, will you help Kaylee with XYZ? Aunt, we need people that are going to support us in getting her where she needs to be. And choose the right doctors. Check the therapist out. Talk to the teachers. We are going to have to be momagers. It's a little bit more involved, you know. Um, but we want the best for our children. And so we need to recruit a winning team that's going to help us and help them. So this picture always cracks me up. Sorry. It's like, where's the respite? Life challenge number 7. So we're almost to the end, you all. And it's like, I can remember I used to, one summer, I would go around singing. Anytime I went to a meeting anywhere, it's like, where's the respite? I would do it in that voice of like the Wendy's commercial of, where's the beef? But it was the little old lady. I can't remember her name off the top of my head right now, but it was like, she would say, it was a Wendy's commercial, and it'd be, where's the beef? I don't think there's any back there. I don't think there's anybody back there. And I would do that and say, where's the respite? I don't think there's any anywhere. Where's the respite? I don't think there's any anywhere. And then I finally had to come to terms with the fact that, like, if there was going to be respite, I was going to have to figure it out. You know, you can't feel guilty because there isn't any anywhere. You're going to have to kind of build it in there. You know, I would also then also throw, when I was doing where's the respite, I would also say, where's the beef? I don't think there's any back there. And where's the respite? I don't think there's any anywhere. And then I would throw in a line from Aretha Franklin, R-E-S-P-E-C-T, ooh, just little, ooh, just little. Because I was like, I need respite, I need just a little. And that is the point. We have got to build it in. We have got to, that saying is so true of taking care of you. You've got to put the oxygen mask on you first. And I was recently reminded of this when I was at a little work shop, and the mother, another mom said to me, you know, that actually happened to me. She's like, I was on a plane and I had to put the oxygen mask on. She's like, so it's not just, you know, something, a trite statement that people say, it actually happened. And she's like, it's very true. You have, you know, seconds to react, and you have to put it on you first. And this is something I struggle with quite a bit, to schedule me time and find ways to preserve and enhance and, you know, renew myself on a daily basis. I do practice meditation. Thank God for Insight Timer, you know, that little app on your phone. It helps me quite a bit. But I want you all to understand it's not selfish that you need self-care. In order for you to be your child's best advocate, you've got to take care of you. Without you, where would your child be? So please take some time for you. Make sure to meditate. You know, if that's not for you, walk outside. They say that walking outside is great health. When I had given one of these presentations once before, a mother said she hadn't even scheduled her doctor's appointments, you know. But we have to take care of us, because without us, really, where will our children be? So just to rehash what we've talked about, 7 keys to unlock your child's potential. The first one is acceptance. You have to accept your child for who they are. Not saying that you're not going to push them to become all that they can be, but you accept them for who they are. And I think most of us do that. We just kind of get a little, or I got a little off track. The second one is to have an open mind. The third key is to get organized, figure out ways or a system that is going to work for you. It doesn't have to be my system. It has to be a system that works for you. You have to know where you're going. You have to have the target or the game plan, or where's the finish line. You have to open up the lines of communication, and this works in all ways. You have to recruit a winning team. And, you know, moms and dads, you're the momager or the dadager. You know, you have got to talk to people and communicate so that you get what you need for your child. And all of this cannot be done unless you take care of you. Um, you have got to make sure that the oxygen mask is put on you. Because your child needs you, you're your child's best advocate. And I say, you know, an advocate is any action that benefits your child makes you an advocate. So I hope that this helps. Please stop by and see us at Parenting Special Needs Magazine. You can visit our Facebook page, and we really appreciate all of you and anything we can do. And stay safe. Talk to you soon.